Hello my friends and welcome back, or welcome to my channel if you're new here. My name is Liv or Olivia and I'm so glad you decided to stop by. Welcome to the first summer video of the year. As opposed to a lot of people, summer is actually my favorite season and it's always been since I was a kid, so I'm extra excited to finally be diving into some summer reads. I don't even know where to start. I have so much going on in the month of June, so let's just go ahead and start talking about the book clubs that I'm going to be a part of. The first book club that I host every single month is called the Tea Time Society Book Club, and you can join on my Patreon for only $3 a month. You also get a lot of other benefits, so you can go ahead and check that out if you haven't checked out my page yet. We have so much fun over there. It's the best group of girls and it's so cozy and it's always such a fun time. But for the month of June, we are going to be reading The Wishing Game by Meg Shaffer, and I think it's so funny that this actually became a book of the month choice. I was not expecting that, but if you got this in your book of the month, you should join us. Every single month, me and a co-host jumps on a live stream together and you guys can comment and give your thoughts on the book as we talk about it. It's always such a great time, but this book specifically I am extra excited about because I have never heard of anything like this, and I'm just gonna say right here, V.E. Schwab blurbed this and it's kind of what had me from the beginning. Clever, dark, and hopeful, a love letter to reading and the power that childhood stories have over us long after we've grown up. But the basic premise of this book is our main character grew up reading these books in her childhood, and for some reason the author just disappeared, stopped writing books. One day the author decides to make a comeback, but the trick is you have to enter a competition to win that one and only copy of his book. And so our main character enters the competition. I don't know what kind of trials there will be. I know it's also mystery, there's magical realism like I said, and it just sounds so cool and so unique. It's just shy of 300 pages, and with all the elements weaved into this story, I really think it's gonna make for a great discussion. So I'm extra excited to dive into this one this month. The next book club I'm going to help co-host is Savannah from Riveting Reads. Her book club is called Lights Out, where they read horror and mystery thrillers. I'm going to be a co-host with Gabby Reads for the month of June, and we are going to be reading The Chateau by Jaclyn Goldis. I have actually never heard of this author before, but the premise sounds like it could be Pretty Little Liars-ish, which is totally my vibe. Welcome to picturesque Provence, where the lady of the chateau has opened its elegant doors to her granddaughter Darcy and 3 friends. 20 years earlier, the 4 girlfriends studied abroad together in France and visited the old woman on the weekends, creating the group's deep bond. But why this sudden invitation? They go on winery tours and market visits, fancy dinners, but then suddenly Seraphine, or the lady that owns the chateau, she is brutally murdered. Just the vibes of this sound like it's going to be amazing with the wineries, and it's set in France, so I feel like this is going to be a really good summer read because of that. But I'm mainly excited just to chat with Savannah and Gabby about this because I think it's going to be so much fun. So if you're interested in this book and you want to join us, the live discussion is going to be on June 28th on a Wednesday, and you can again check out all the details of that below. The next book club that I'm not going to be hosting in but just participating because I've been wanting to pick this book up for forever is the Cozy Hollow Book Club, and they usually just have mysteries or cozy mysteries, and it's such a fun time. But the one that was chosen for June is Vera Wong's Unsolicited Advice for Murderers by Jessie Q. Sutanto. I loved Dial A for Aunties, so as you can imagine, I'm very excited to finally dive into this one. This is about Vera Wong, who is an elderly lady, I believe, and she owns a tea shop. I think her apartment is above the tea shop. One morning she comes down to open up the shop and there is a dead body in her shop, so she decides to take it upon herself to figure out this mystery and who all is involved. And I think this is just going to be a really good, funny time because if it's anything like Dial A for Aunties, Jessie really knows how to write her humor, and I can only imagine just how funny Vera Wong is going to be. And who doesn't love a cozy little tea shop? Like, it sounds perfect and right up my alley. And the next thing that I am very excited about is we are doing a round 2 of Suns Out, Books Out. Some of you guys may not not have been here last year when I hosted this with some of my friends, but it is basically a summer readathon where we just read a ton of summer books. I'm hosting this with my friends Elizabeth from Ponytails and Paperbacks, Keisha from A Book Like You, and Mackenzie from The Literary Lane. I have all the information out on my Instagram, so you guys may have already seen all of this, but I'm just gonna go through the photo prompts, the group read. It is basically just a summer 72-hour readathon, so if that is your jam, definitely join us for round 2 this year. This readathon is taking place June 23rd through 25th, and we will be having a summer party / reading sprints on my channel June 23rd at 8 p.m. EST, so I hope you guys will join us for that. But we also have a group buddy read that I am so pumped to get to because I was dying to read this last year, just didn't have the time, and it's The Summer of Broken Rules by K.L. Walther. This is a young adult contemporary summer romance that's full of Taylor Swift quotes or vibes from what I've heard, which if that's not a seller to you already, I don't know what is, but I'm just gonna go ahead and read the back because it just sounds like such a fun time. It's all fun and games until someone loses their heart. When Meredith Fox lost her sister Claire 18 months ago, she shut everyone out, but this summer she's determined to join the world again. The annual family vacation to Martha's Vineyard seems like the perfect place to reconnect. Her entire extended family is gathering for a big summer wedding, and although Meredith is dateless after being unexpectedly dumped, she's excited to participate in the traditional family game of Assassin that will take place during the week of wedding festivities. Claire always loved the game, and Meredith is determined to honor her legacy. But when Meredith forms an alliance with a cute groomsman, she finds herself getting distracted. Meredith tries to focus on the game and win it for her sister, but she can't help falling for him. And as the week progresses, she realizes she's not only at risk of losing the game, but also her heart. This sounds like the perfect romance, especially for like Abby Jimenez lovers or Emily Henry, people that love other themes explored in the romance like I do. I love a cutesy romance for sure, but I love when there's grief like this one or just some other subplot that kind of keeps the story moving. I think this one is going to be really fun and also just have a really great discussion. So definitely join the Discord group where you guys can discuss chapter by chapter your thoughts on this book, and I'm just so excited to read it with you all. Now I'm going to dive into our reading prompts or reading challenges, starting with a book that has water on the cover. And for this one, I'm going to be reading the graphic novel called Surfside Girls, The Mystery at the Old Rancho, which is actually the second in a series. And if you guys don't know, because I didn't know, apparently there's an adaptation on Apple TV, which is crazy, and I think it might be kind of fun to watch that over the weekend. But this is the second one, and there's not exactly water on the front, but there is water on the back, so I'm definitely counting it because you guys know I always have to have a graphic novel for my readathons. The first one was adorable. It was filled with cute boy crushes, it was set on the coast. There's also some paranormal elements and magical elements to this. The art style is absolutely phenomenal, and I feel like I got so many people to pick this up last year, so I'm really excited to continue with this series, and I think there's actually only 2, which is really sad, but this is going to be perfect for summer and the readathon. The next prompt is to just read a beach read. This could be whatever you want it to be, whatever you interpret it to be. It could be a cute romance, it could be set on the coast, it could be like a chilling thriller or a horror book, whatever you want to read for this readathon goes. But for this prompt, I am going to be reading a cozy mystery called Beaches, Bungalows, and Burglaries. I'm not sure how many is in this series, but you guys, it's literally less than 200 pages. So of course, you know, I had to pick this one because it's shorter and this is a shorter readathon, but there's also some fun looking recipes in the back that I may have to try my hand at. I'm really excited to dive into this one because I know a few of my friends have really loved this series. I actually don't know much about it, so I'm going to read the back to you and we will both find out together. Mae West, a far cry from the Hollywood actress, has been thrown for a loop. Her plush lifestyle in the big city of New York comes to a screeching halt after the FBI raids her mansion and arrests her husband, Paul West, for a Ponzi scheme that rips people out of millions millions of dollars. May finds herself homeless, friendless, and penniless. All hope isn't lost. The only thing May got to keep that the government didn't seize is a tourist campground, happy trails, and an RV to live in. Apparently her husband actually escapes prison somehow, and he's found dead, murdered, floating in the Happy Trails mucky green lake. This sounds so good. It has been so long since I've actually read a cozy mystery, and I've just been itching to pick one up. From the sounds of it, it's set on a lake, which sounds perfect for summer, so I'm going with it. I'm going with this one, and hopefully it'll turn out to be a great time. The last prompt is just to read a book that gives you those nostalgic summer vibes. So that could be like a childhood book, it could give you like a throwback slasher type of horror book. You could literally interpret this any way you want, but for me, I'm actually going to be reading the group read for this one. This does give me nostalgic vibes because, I mean, first of all, it's a young adult. I just remember being that age and having crushes on boys and things like that, but this also is set during a wedding, which is very nostalgic for me because I shoot or used to shoot a ton of weddings in the summertime. Like, that is prime time wedding season, and so the fact that this takes place at a wedding or during a wedding is very much nostalgic for me because that's been something I've done for years. So I'm going to be reading this one for the nostalgic prompt, but I'm very much excited to see which you guys choose for this. The next readathon that I'm so excited to share with you guys because I'm hosting it for my patrons over on Patreon is the Dip into Summer readathon that's actually happening this weekend, June 9th and 10th. So when you're seeing this, it'll only be a few days away. But if you don't know, I host a readathon, usually 24 hours to 72 hours, just a weekend readathon every other month for my Patreon. So of course I had to theme one that was kind of going from spring into summer. We're just kind of dipping our toes into some summer reads. I'm going to be hosting reading sprints for a few hours on June 9th, so I hope you guys will join us if any of these prompts or these books look fun to you. But the first prompt is really very simple, and that is just to choose a book with blue on the cover because blue makes me think of summer. And for this one, I'm going to be reading a graphic novel called 5 Worlds: The Sand Warrior. 5 worlds on the brink of extinction. Can 3 unlikely heroes save the day? This is a middle grade, and it has to do with kids that have these special abilities. I don't really know what that is, but this color palette of more pastel colors, well, I guess not all of them are pastel, but it definitely gives me summer vibes just from the cover, and it's called The Sand Warrior, so it kind of makes me think of the beach. So I'm really excited to see what this series is about because I think there's quite a few now, and I have heard nothing but amazing things about this. So I'm really excited to dive into this one. The next prompt is to pick a book that is set on the coast or the island, or honestly just on a body of water or surrounding kind of that theme. And I have 2 options for this because I don't know what I'm going to be in the mood for. I'm either going to be in the mood for a cute romance, which is Meet Me at the Lake by Carley Fourtune, or I'm going to be in the mood for another cozy mystery, Buried in a Book by Tamara. This one I specifically want to get to because I didn't love Every Summer After, and I feel like this could be the chance for this author kind of to redeem herself for me. And it's set on a lake. This cover is stunning. It's blown up all over Bookstagram, so I feel like it's a good option for me to get to this summer rather than later. I honestly don't know much about this one at all, but I do know the couple met 10 years ago and then they come back together and maybe tried dating or becoming friends again. I don't know what happened within those 10 years, but I'm definitely eager to find out. Buried in a Good Book has our main character who's actually an author herself, and I think she writes real crime books. I honestly can't remember, but because she's going through a divorce, she kind of just wants a fresh start. So she decides to go to a cabin in the woods with her daughter to hopefully heal and just kind of have a fresh start and just some relaxing time. But when they get there, there's an explosion that shakes the cabin, and there's raining fish parts, but also a human arm. So we obviously have some type of mystery that they get involved in, and I think I'm really gonna love this one because for 1, it's set on a lake, 2, it has a mother-daughter dynamic, and 3, I've heard there's actually some romance in this one. And so I feel like it's just gonna be overall the perfect summer vibe, and there cannot be a better time for me to finally read this. And the last prompt is to read a book that on the cover or or has the theme of a sea creature. That could be a mermaid or a fish, an octopus. I know a lot of people are going to be reading remarkably bright creatures, so that is an option. But for this one, I know it is a hefty big one for a readathon, but it has been sitting on my shelves for far too long, and it's also kind of horror-ish, so we are definitely switching up the genres here. But that is Into the Drowning Deep by Mira Grant. She's also known as Shauna Maguire that wrote the Wayward Children series, and I really did enjoy Middle Game, but I've heard this book or this series is even better. I think there's 2 books to this series. All I know is it's about killer mermaids, and it's a little bit more sci-fi, which I didn't realize, but this is like a 400-page book, so it should be interesting to try to get through. But if I don't get through the whole thing, all that matters is that I tried and I gave it a shot. I think I'm really gonna like this though. It says, the ocean is home to many myths, some are deadly. 7 years ago, the adder Goldis set off on a voyage to the Mariana Trench to film a mockumentary bringing to life ancient sea creatures of legend. It was lost at sea with all hands. Some have called it a hoax, others have called it a tragedy. Now a new crew has been assembled. Some seek to validate their life's work, some seek the greatest hunt of all, some seek the truth. But for the ambitious young scientist Victoria Stewart, this is a voyage to uncover the fate of the sister she lost. I'm just looking at all of the blurbs on the back. It says engrossing, claustrophobic. I mean, it's deep dark water, which is freaking terrifying. So I think this is gonna be such an amazing read and possibly a 5-star for me. I honestly haven't read anything with mermaids or anything that really has this setting, so I think this is just gonna be like a new, fun, refreshing type of read for me, and I cannot wait. I think I'm probably the most excited to pick this up this weekend. And next, I just want to share a few other books that I'm probably going to be reading in between readathons, but I'm really just going to be kind of mood reading. I do have like a big summer TBR list video that I'm going to come out with next weekend, but these are just some books that I'm in the middle of or need to finish up, or I just think would be really good transitional books. The first one being The Happy Life of Isadora Bentley by Courtney Walsh. I'm so excited that Courtney Walsh wrote another book that isn't just a romance, but the way she was describing this is she said it's been the most fun she's had written any of her books, which makes me so excited because this sounds like a book that's a little bit more like women's literary or contemporary, but it's basically, I think, about this girl named Isadora that writes this list of things she wants to achieve to make her happier or accomplish some type of goal, but I think she might fall in love along the way. I really am not doing a great job of describing this, but because it's Courtney Walsh, I'm definitely going to give this one a shot, especially because I have an art copy. I am just so excited to dive into one of her other books. Her Christmas books have been my favorite of all time, and she even wrote a Valentine's Day one, so I have no doubt this one is just going to be so amazing. I have 2 other romances, the first one being The Happy Ever After playlist by Abby Jimenez. I actually started reading this at the beginning of May, I believe, and I made it 100 pages in, started tabbing, I was loving it, and I don't know what happened. I don't know if I just want to like hold back and treasure and really savor her books because she only has so many out. I only have 2 more, this one and Life is Too Short, that I haven't read yet, so I'm really just wanting to take my time with this one, and I think that's why I decided to put it on pause, but I would really love to finish it up so that I don't forget what the heck the story is even about. But I was loving this one. I'm not going to explain to you what it's about because, first of all, I feel like everyone's heard about this author, but it's also the second in the series. The first one is The Friend Zone, but one of the main characters in The Friend Zone is in this book, and because of the sake of spoilers, I don't want to do that to you, so I'm not going to read the back. I also have The Match by Sarah Adams, who has obviously blown up all over Bookstagram ever since Practice Makes Perfect came out. I read When in Rome and can now say she's one of my favorite romance authors, so of course I had to kind of go back in time to one of her backlist books. This one is set in Charleston, which first of all is the perfect summer vibe as well as this cover. I live near Charleston and I can just already picture this story so vividly. It's about a single dad and his daughter has some type of special needs, and our female main character actually owns a service dog business, and so she has an assignment to choose a dog for this man's little girl. And the tropes already in this have my heart, and I need to finally read this because I honestly feel like I could like it even more than When in Rome. So I'm just super excited to jump into more of Sarah Adams' backlist. I have one other cozy mystery that I would love to get to if I have the time, and that is Live and Let Chai by Brie Baker. I don't know anything about this other than there is a seaside cafe, and that's pretty much it. I mean, it sounds like it's perfect for summer. I've had so many friends that have read this and really liked it, so I'm very much looking forward to this one. The thriller that I'm hoping to dive into is The Only Survivors by Megan Miranda. Once again, don't know much about this, but I do know Jess picked it for her book club for the Sleep When I'm Dead book club, which I'm very excited about because this is my first Megan Miranda book. I don't know if this is a good choice for her first one. I'm sure I should probably start with her backlist, but this takes place in Outer Banks, which again is near me. I love that setting. Who doesn't love the show Outer Banks? Like, it's just the perfect timing to pick this one up. 7 hours in the past, 7 days in the present, 7 survivors remaining. Who would you save? A decade ago, 2 vans filled with high school seniors on a school service trip crashed into a Tennessee ravine, a tragedy that claimed the lives of multiple classmates and teachers. The 9 students who managed to escape the river that night were irrevocably changed. A year later, after one of the survivors dies by suicide on the anniversary of the crash, the rest of them make a pact to come together each year to commemorate that terrible night, to keep one another safe, to hold one another accountable, or both. Wow, okay, I only read half that synopsis and it sounds really sad, so we will see if I end up being in the mood for this. I'm curious to see what the actual mystery of this is going to be, and if I so happen to be in the fantasy mood, which happens quite a bit, but I'm also trying to have a good balance this summer of different genres instead of just binging a bunch of romance books, because then I don't end up reading a lot of what's on my shelf, which is mainly fantasy. So if I so happen to be in the mood for some fantasy, I'm definitely going to be working on finishing Fourth Wing. I currently have 200 pages left, and I can neither confirm or deny whether this is going to be a 5-star. I'm very eager to finally finish it to see what I end up rating it, because the dragons in this book kind of overpowers any other negative thoughts I have about it, because it is so good, it's so cute, and this is basically like Divergent or Hunger Games with dragons. So if that's anything that you're into, I mean, I'm sure you've seen this around on Bookstagram and BookTube. This is definitely going to be a priority for me to finally finish this month. And last but not least is Six Scorched Roses by Krystal Broadbent. This is a very short novella that's in between Serpent and the Wings of Night and the second book, which is The Star-Cursed King. I can't remember exactly the title, but I've heard it's best to read this in between the 2 books. So I feel like this is definitely a bingeable book to read on the weekend, and I know nothing about it. I just know that it follows 2 characters that are in the second book, so hopefully it gives us some background on that story. I am obsessed with Krystal Broadbent, and I would love to add one of her books to each of my TBRs until I'm caught up with her series, so I will definitely be making this one a priority. Well friends, that is all I have for you, and it's quite a bit. I know. I will leave all of the information down below for Cozy Hollow, Lights Out Book Club, Sleep When I'm Dead, my Patreon, the 2 readathons. There is so much happening in June, and I definitely can predict that July is going to be kind of like a rest month or a mood reading month for me. I'm just so happy to finally be getting into some summer books. You guys will have to let me know if you are participating in any of the book clubs, if you will join us for Suns Out Books Out again. That's probably the thing I'm most excited about this month. Let me know your TBR, jump in the Discord. But thank you guys so much for watching this video. I love you and adore you so much. Thank you for supporting my channel, and I will see you in my next video.
Hello, Ramona. I can't shake the simplest feeling beyond the ghost.